Welcome to The Motive, where we go over a reason for doing something, especially one that is not obvious. Today, I am with sales manager Alex Pham, and we're going to talk about why most LOs fail in the business and how the best make real money. And if this is a video you see, I got a new look going with the mustache. Pham, what do you think about the stash?
Love it. Got the hats backwards, ready to rock and roll and just talk deep on what's really going on out there when it comes to, high efficient, LOs that are definitely, getting some numbers out and, making a name for themselves.
It's a new era with how we operate business, how we do business. Like I said, we got our hats on backwards. When I got in the business, you got to dress to impress, even if I was on the phone all day. Now we get in our operation, we're remote, so people all across the country can join in, um, partake, and make a good living by helping people, and don't have to act like you're in Wall Street from the 1980s. So quick reminder, of course, for me, I've been in the business for 20 plus years. Done lots of volume, done lots of the direct to consumer volume. And the awesome thing is that Alex and me go back about the same amount of time since we both got in the business and have been doing the same thing. So between the two of us, we probably got 50 plus years of experience in the business of dealing with mortgages, and mostly direct to consumer mortgages. Whether it's refinance as a purchase or second mortgage or home equity line of credit or whatever it is, you name it. We've been doing it a long time, and we have a goal and a mission right now that we are going to get to 100 loans a month per month by the end of this year, on track to go to 1,000 loans per month in the next 24 months. So with that, Alex, I'll let you jump in if you want to give a little bit of background about yourself as well, if I didn't cover it.
Yeah. So, I've been in sales pretty much all of my professional career. I pivoted into mortgages, right around the same time as Jared. I think we're hitting almost 24 years ago, but definitely I've been on the front lines as an originator, looking at all kinds of products and closing them, everything from your subprime, your Alt-A, conventional, Govy, HELOCs, fixed home equity loans, you name it, anything that is, mortgage related. I've done them. I've had a great opportunity to be also on the servicing side of the business for one of the largest, actually the largest loan servicer in the nation. So I had the opportunity to be in contact and work with, over 6 million customers. So, on that side of the business, I saw it from the front end all the way back into, the fulfillment and even on the complaint side. So for me, when it comes to loan originations, it's all about customer experience from the intake, right, to the processing, to the funding, and then, the goodbye, right? It's all that experience, including, the lead side of it, also the legal compliance, right? So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but in today's day and age, I think the one of the most important things is, having a process and following the process. And if you follow the process and on the way that you're going through the process, right, there's a lot of common sense things that you can tweak and always tweak, right? And then you'll have all the data to back it, right? If you have to go even further. So with that being, said, I mean, we live in a industry where there's a lot of excuses, right? And there's a lot of great strategy and execution, right? And I think all that comes into play when you become or are the most successful, you know, mortgage professional, if you want to call it. More or less you're a loan advisor, right? The days of the LO are kind of done, right? With all the different automations we have and all the tools. But another piece of it is you could have all these fancy tools and whatnot, but oftentimes it really does not, much for your production unless you really know how to utilize it. And that's something, we'll talk about today. But I think you can't be comfortable. You got to execute based on a strategy and you got to rip on a process. And a lot of that
Yeah.
process is done internally. It's a lot of mental, right? Your amplitude's going to be huge. And just making yourself relevant as well as all those homeowners out there. That's the key.
So
We want to
yeah,
create, yeah, a
and
story, a memory.
I'm grateful, by the way, that we get to do this, man. I mean, we've known each
Yeah.
other, we've been doing it for so long, and now we're on the same path. We're growing something big. We want, rock star good people doing good things and good processes to help a lot of people, as many people as we possibly can. And I think it's It's not really the start because we've been doing it for so long, but it's a new chapter. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this goes and where this goes and what our exit strategy or end plan might be, and how many people we can touch and help along the way, whether that's coaching and making people better and helping clients and everything else at the same time. So, with that, like I said, super happy, super grateful that we're doing this, that we finally get to join forces and take all this experience and time that we've had, doing it different ways, different strategies, which by the way, they always work. They all work. But this isn't going to be a feel good episode. This is why loan officers, LOs fail, and why a small percent dominate the hell out of the market because they have tactics, strategies, systems in place that allow them to do that. So, um, again, super, super stoked to be working side by side with Mr. Alex Pham here. And let's just jump into it. So, like,
I mean,
absolutely
you
cool.
know, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna basically set the tone right now, right? In today's market, right? When you look at all the different, LOs out there, I mean, if you look at it, literally, it's a 7-digit number when you look at the licensing, right? So, you could kind of size up who you're dealing with, especially folks like ourselves when we're looking at hot recruits that could potentially be out there, right? So we have this very large pool, right? And you got a lot of people swimming, racing, doing all that stuff, you know, getting their process, getting, to, be successful in this pool. But then you got others that are just literally holding on the rail, right? And those typically aren't the ones, that
Most people, like I said, yeah, that's good that you bring it up because a lot of new people are going to have challenges. A lot of old people already have challenges. I mean, I see some people have been in business 20 years and I can't believe they still don't know what somebody who's been in the business 1 year might know. But it really comes into the person, the it factor that you have, right? Like, what do you have in your soul? Do you have that burning desire to grow and learn? Or are you just looking for a job? We sent out something recently that I put out there that, if you're in this business, and you're acting like a telemarketer or a call center, expect to get paid like a telemarketer or call center or get replaced. Because, like Alex said, we're advisors and you have to have a professionalism and a value behind what you do, or you're not worth anything more than that. To be harsh about it, that's just what it is, in my opinion. And that's why I think a lot of people that do confuse activity of just doing with production, which is doing something good or with intent and with purpose, is a big thing that people like need to really overcome. Because there's a lot of over the last years, people got beat up in this business, kept negativity, and they haven't got themselves back of that hole, or they don't have that drive to keep going. Maybe they have, lack of systems, lack of marketing, lack of a lead flow, lack of leadership, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, we're all adults, we're all professionals. We're here to help people and drive business forward. And if you don't have that, and you're looking for a 9 to 5, sit back and just answer calls kind of deal, then, and you're not really helping people and you don't have any ambition to do that, then it's probably not a good fit for us. And honestly, probably not a good fit for the industry itself. Um, so yeah, I think that's a big one out there. I mean, what is like a comfort zone that you see people get trapped in right now, Alex? Why do you think 80% or more are probably getting trapped in some kind of comfort zone or mediocrity?
well, I think, a lot of folks, when you say, their comfort level, right? Everyone, kind of has a gauge personally, right? Where they're going to fall when it comes to, you know, what can they do to push themselves to set them apart from all the other average LOs, right? Um, you know, in my opinion, throughout my career, as well as leading in, a group of originators, I mean, you got to have that hunter, you got to think like a hunter, right? Just think about it, right? Back in the day, tribes would go out and hunt, right? But they all had processes and strategies that they followed, right? Let's say, all the cattle moved to one side of the, area. Hey, they're going to already moved over there, a couple days before that, herd rolls over there. So with that being said, it's you gotta be able to control your activity, right? That's the you gotta have that fire in your belly. And like I said, everyone has their own gauge for, their comfort level. is that gauge even turned on? And many loan officers got to ask themselves, okay, do I have that gauge? Where am I at? Where am I revving? Where are my RPMs? Because I'll tell you right now, your RPMs when it comes to activity and just, self motivation, just that fire. I mean, that's on you. Hello.
Yeah, I think it's huge. And by the way, this podcast, this conversation is for loan officers or anybody in the sales business because salespeople, there's a ton out there. And just like most things, there's a lot, most of them aren't good or they just got into the business for whatever reason. But, we talk and we coach and we could talk on this podcast for like probably 4 days of just knowledge and stuff about people that, like I said, loan officers who maybe avoid the hard conversations or they don't do the work that it does. Cause I can guarantee I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not the I'm not a great salesperson. I just work harder than other people, as do you, Alex, right? So that's my secret superpower is I'm gonna outwork, I'm gonna talk to more people. I'm gonna advise and because I have more knowledge than the homeowner out there that maybe doesn't know what's best or what the difference is from what they heard on the news or what Uncle Bob told them or their neighbor told them, right? And another thing I think where people don't pay attention to, because again, if you treat it like a job, then you're gonna probably be replaceable and you get treated like it's a employee at a job, but you don't know your metrics. And I'm big on metrics and knowing what they are. And it doesn't matter what they are, if you know how to calculate them and how to reverse engineer them. Like if you okay, great, you close at 1%. So you need to put 100 loans in to get one. Then do that. Oh, I closed at 10%. Okay, so I need to put 10 loans in to get one, right? Like either way works. I just have to do one more of the other of one to meet where I want to be at the end of the day. And I think people think that they're like everybody else, like, oh, 100 and everybody closes at 10% and everybody gets 10 deals, which is where they should be, by the way. But not everybody's like that. Or there's a reason why some loan officers can have takes for example, we have people that have to have like 200 leads to get like 5 opportunities, and other people that take 20 leads to get those 5 opportunities. Why? Because they're better at what they do. They have a bigger skill set. They've actually learned how to talk to people and how to explain and how to keep people on the phone to really explain what those benefits might be of whatever they're doing or whether there is no benefit, whatever the reason is, they're advising them to find out what's best for them. But if you think everything's systematic and you're just like everybody else, then you get treated like everybody else. You're a unique person. We tell everybody in this position, right? Like you're your own boss pretty much, and you're in control of your own destiny, and you're not like the 5 people next to you or whatever they're comparing it with. You're your own person. Everybody has a unique value proposition, UVP or USP, selling proposition that brings some kind of charisma and individuality to them. And if you don't have that, or you don't believe in it, or you're not confident enough with it, then you need to get confident with it. And you need to educate yourself to have more knowledge, to be more powerful. That's my rant on that part. But
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you nailed that. I mean, the other side of it, yeah, the other side of it too is like, a lot of LOs, make assumptions, right? And anytime that you make assumptions, right, that actually kind of, sets up, your comfort zone, right? If you're assuming one thing and you're not 100% sure, right, you're basically making yourself feel comfortable that the actions that you're taking are okay, but in reality, they're not. I mean, you should not ever be comfortable in anything you do. And the way what I mean by that is, if you're not comfortable, it's highly likely you're learning something. I get uncomfortable when I'm not learning stuff, right? But then also, if I start assuming things as well, looking for an outcome, usually the outcome doesn't happen, right? So to create
you
that
need to be
comfort zone,
comfortable being uncomfortable in sales because
yeah,
things move faster than you can manage sometimes.
I mean, that's the comfort zone trap, right? Oh yeah, rates are low. Hey man, I'm just gonna wait for these loans to fly through the sky. But it should be, when you're in this industry, right? It's business as usual. Let it be, if we're in a 2 to 4% market that we saw, going from, 2020 into, mid 2022. But, that was like a dream run, literally. Uh, will that happen again? I doubt it. Right? We could all sit there and reminisce about the past, it's great, but I think what's more important is reminisce on all the strategies and actions you took in the times where you were most successful and essentially, move that bar up. I remember, Jerry, we were just looking at our numbers when we weren't even 100% originating to look at the numbers during that run that we saw in, 2020 to 2022. It's kind of alarming. I was like, man, imagine if I was, more focused, but I was actually putting my attention somewhere else because I wanted to learn something new. So that just was, something that was kind of like the
Yeah, no,
catalyst
and
to everything.
what were we like between like 80 and 100 million for some of those years?
Yeah, I
And that
think
was
it
like
was.
trying. So if so my so with that said, like everything we talk about and everything we say, it's kind of like a reflection back. Like I think if if I can do that kind of volume and I'm also, running a branch or you're dealing with like the legal side and executive staffing and all that kind of stuff that you had to deal with as well, and you can still put up those numbers, why is somebody who has one priority, one focus that can't do that, right? And that's something somebody needs to look in the mirror as a reflection back to them because I really believe 80% or more of your success is all in your mind of how you think about yourself and think about what you're doing. Do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in yourself? And to me, that's the most important thing. But I don't know, maybe you can touch on some like core sales skills that you think people must master, they must have if they actually want to be successful in this business.
Yeah, I think,
Aside
the
from the
number.
top one, which is don't be a damn order taker, people.
Yeah,
The
I think.
Burger King. Be
Yeah, I
kind.
think, you wanna, kinda be a master of your craft, and one of the things is just interpersonal communications. I think it's super key, right? We only have one sense when we're talking to these homeowners, it's just hearing, right? With technology, we could go Zoom and do all those other fun things with that I definitely recommend, but more importantly, you gotta ensure whoever you're talking to, even if it's a dead deal or whatever, you gotta make sure they feel relevant because you might get the deal right away, or it's gonna have to incubate, or down the road, you just never know. So one of the most important things is, to ensure that whoever you're talking to, even your staff, your kids, your family, whatever, you got to make sure they're relevant. And you already know there's only certain things you can control. One thing you control is how you deliver some information to somebody, right? And I think the one thing that a lot of LOs miss is respectfully taking control of the call. And what I mean by that is, I always will say this, I've been saying this for decades. Basically, as an LO, you're a doctor. You're diagnosing the situation of that homeowner to uncover what truly is important to them. Because remember, people buy on emotions followed by logic. They remember stories and they forget facts, right? So, taking control of the call like you're literally a doctor diagnosing a patient to find what type of prescription, what type of service would be necessary to cure or to alleviate the pain they're feeling at the moment. As a loan officer, right? What you're thinking about is you're looking to save people money, time, and stress, convenience, right? That's what it's all about. I know that I
It's all about the
will.
discovery portion of what everybody is trying to do, which is like
Yeah.
finding and there's a dozen ways, or there's more than a dozen ways, but a ton of ways that people talk about these strategies and sales techniques, right? And if you're a consumer, you should hopefully identify these of people doing it so you could find out if they are being authentic or not when they're talking to you. But on a sales side, it's very simple, right? Uncover the problem, find the solution. It's as simple as that. That's on a discovery thing. Whether you use a T chart of the where they're at and where they want to be, whether you ask the right types of questions, which pro tip, as Alex would say, asking the right questions is more important than just asking questions or talking, out the rear. But how do you uncover their pain? How do you uncover the motivation? What is the problem that we need to fix? And then finding a solution for it, right? That's the biggest one. If I call my internet provider, it's because I have a problem. I don't call them just for fun. I'm calling because my internet's not working or my, service is bad or whatever, and I want them to fix it. And that's all we have to do as salespeople is fix it, not order take, find it because when you're dealing with people's finances, it might be a lot more difficult to get the real problem out of them FYI, we talk about going 3, 5, or 7 layers deep on that conversation. They might just come up to you and say, and they might, but most of them are not gonna be like, "I have an internet problem," or I'm barely getting by, and I don't know what I'm gonna do 6 months from now." They might just be probing because there's no trust built with them. They don't know who you are. You haven't really identified it. You're not asking the right questions, right? Discovery is huge, in my opinion, for master loan officers, for masters salespeople.
Yeah, and, it's also, how you deliver it, right? You don't wanna come off like you're interrogating that homeowner, and keep in mind, a lot of folks have already, done a refinance or they've purchased, a home in the past, but right now, today, we're dealing with, millions of customers who acquired their homes literally in the last 4 years, right? So this oftentimes is their first time doing a refinance, right? And I think by just literally diagnosing the situation, even if you don't have a remedy, right? You gotta also keep that in your back pocket, right? Because it's almost like you're getting reps to train. But also, if you are memorable, right? These people that may not be able to do something right now because it doesn't make sense. That's just like a backup pipeline that people forget about. So I think, taking control of the call, asking the right questions, listening 90% of the time, using pause so that people can actually think and respond to you, right? Opposed to just kind of just ripping them like, oh yeah, who you work for? What is the address? That really doesn't matter at the moment, right? First thing, you just got to, diagnose it. Is there a potential like I could remediate this? Is there a prescription? That's like, the easiest things. Is there equity? Is there income? Right? That kind of stuff, right?
I think a
Then,
lot of people too that when they're talking to people, well, I guess say it point blank, if you're getting let me think about it or I'll get back to you, again, pick up that mirror that hopefully you have sitting on your desk or wherever you work at and look at it and ask yourself why. Because I'll tell you, the honest fact is that is because you didn't create urgency or build any trust with that person. You didn't do a good job as a loan advisor or loan officer to have them put trust in you, to have them know how important it is for them. You didn't do a good job with that. Um, and if it doesn't happen on the first call or the second call or the third call or the fourth call or the fifth call, you will keep doing that because you need to make sure the other person knows that you are important, that you are looking out for them, that they can trust you, that you're going to guide them the right way. If you haven't done that and you haven't followed up and you haven't kept following up with somebody to get that point across, again, shame on you because I think that was where a lot of people will fail. They don't have the it factor to keep doing that. Top loan officers do. Top loan
yeah,
officers have
yeah,
pipelines. There's always something going. There's always somebody to help. There's always something working. They're always giving advice, whether it's, and again, it's not always personally like more than 50% of the advice I give would probably be not to do the loan or it's not the right time. If I did a loan for somebody 6 months ago and then they hear, like we're hearing right now, I heard rates dropped. I have to educate them what that means, how that impacts short-term financing, not long-term financing, how it hasn't impacted the mortgage rates enough to make it worth them, and how I'm going to keep checking with them and keep in touch with them because when the time is right, I want to guide them and advise them that it's a good opportunity and why it's a good opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I'm not
yeah,
overtaking.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
it
not
comes
trying
down to
to have a deal.
yeah. I mean, it comes down to you got to frame it right, and then you're gonna know when you could drop anchor. And oftentimes, if you drop anchor, too early, you might lose the deal because you did you know, literally take control of that call. You didn't do the discover. You did diagnose it, and people don't buy because either A, they don't trust you, or B, they have questions that have been unanswered. And there's a way to ask those questions without making them feel dumb. Because people always say, "Oh, this might be a dumb question." Actually, any question isn't dumb, but you got to think of the psychology of a homeowner, right? Like I do secret shop and all that stuff. I'll throw out some of the gnarliest objections. 50% of the time, that person will just lock up. But today, right now, with the LOs that I've seen that are hungry, I mean, they do not give up. I was, secret shopping, and imagine getting called from Saturday till yesterday 12 times, and every time there was some sort of information that was given to me to kinda, make me salivate, like, "Ooh, maybe I should think about this," right? Little did the
Calls
person know
times in 5 days.
that's
I
yeah,
I
and
see people that haven't made 5 calls in 12 months. So,
yeah.
there's a problem with that. So, again, for you loan officers who wanna be top producers, if you're not doing stuff like that, you won't get there. And for loan officers who are top producers, I could almost guarantee you are doing stuff like that and following up.
Yeah, and you know what it comes down to is that the LO is making assumptions already. "Oh, I'm bugging them. It's too close to dinner time." You don't know that. It's all in your head, right? And, we run a policy right now, and it's a challenge. We have a policy, 3, 2, 1, right? 4th day, give them a break. The 5th day, you're hitting them 3 times. 6th day, you're hitting them twice. And then the last day, right? You're hitting them once on day 7. But then you just start that whole cycle again, right? And it works. You know,
Yeah.
we're not in the
You
days.
know that, by the way, people have in their mind again, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier, I think, is they feel like they're bugging, they feel like they're not confident, they feel like they're doing a job, and they're not. Like, I'm literally trying if I'm doing that if I'm following that strategy, it's because I want to get somebody on there because I wanna help them. I wanna help them save money. I mean, in our business, what we do is, to me, one of the 3 biggest, most important things in all of human nature, right, is that we provide money for people. We give them financing, food, shelter, financing. Top 3 things,
Oh, yeah.
and we're giving that, but if you think you're bugging them, well, then it's probably because you feel like you're a bugger. You feel like
Well,
a
I'll
telemarketer.
tell you right now. Yeah, you're gonna feel like you're bugging them because you have nothing relevant to tell them, right? And that
100%.
that goes down to being not prepared, right? I don't know about you. If you're cold calling me, you're talking to me, or I had a conversation, I'm continuing, and we're coming back, and I made contact. I'm not gonna kick it off without any type of unique selling proposition. For example, "Hey, John, it looks like I could save you $400 a month. What would you like to do next?" Like, call it out. And so like, "Oh, I'm just following it up to see if you're interested in refinancing." "Oh, you're not? Okay, I'll check up with you." You're done. You're just like
Yeah.
every other LO,
You're just like
right?
every other
No.
salesperson. Those annoying people that we all get on our phone that say that, if you say that, you sound like you're trying to give something or sell something rather than provide a service with any of that
Yeah.
stuff, and that's why
Point
you
blank,
have
yeah.
taste. It's a stereotyped feeling that you have and the consumer has because you hate when people call and bug you for something like that, but if you're actually calling with intent to provide a service and help, you might have a different way of thinking about what you're doing.
It's how you're gonna spend the call too, but the other thing too, it's like, I mean, the homeowner needs to feel relevant, right? If anything, you're just hitting them, but you gotta have something to say. I mean, you're not making them feel relevant if you're just calling, right? But when you make contact, you gotta do something, right? You gotta hold and, I think a lot of LOs are scared, just point blank. What do you not like about the options that are available to you?
Yeah.
And literally shutting up. What do you not like about it? It's always like, "Oh, they're great, you're gonna save it." Ask them point blank if they're not moving. What do you not like about the loan? What do you not like about making a change?
I feel like a lot of people out there, by the way, you know, a lot a few people have this accountability to critique themselves and educate themselves and get to that way of thinking and changing, keyword guys, changing what they're doing
Yeah.
to be better. And I feel like a lot of people out there, they have a lack of leadership or uneducated leadership. And that might be what's holding them back as well. They might be wanting to change, but they don't have the right leadership that they need, right? Because I know that I bring that up because we focus so much on like we're not we don't- in our model, and hopefully it's like this with other loan officers wherever they're at or wherever they work at, but we're not micromanaging, Like I don't we talk about this all the time. We're gonna look at certain things for the team, to see if they're doing it to get to the level they're at. But if you're a producer, you already have a system down. You already have a scalable system that you're using. We're not micromanaging. We are results driven. We are metrics driven. If you have the deals and you talk to 5 people a day on average, well, awesome. You know how to do it. And if you don't, you need coaching and mentorship, but you don't need somebody yelling at you like a job. You get treated like you're at a job, you're gonna feel like you're at a job, you're gonna sell like you're at a job. You're gonna talk to people like it's a job. When again, it's an advisor. So like for us,
We
I know
don't
it's
react,
a topic, but
right?
we're here to coach. We're here to mentor. We're
Yeah,
here to
we
give
will not just
our 50 years of experience and hopefully dump it into somebody else so they can take it and pay it forward to somebody else down the road as well, right? As they continue to grow and get better. Um,
and the
so
key,
yeah,
right?
there's a lot of things out there that people that
Well, I think,
salespeople are trained
yeah,
wrong or stuck in an old way or think it's like the 1980s and 90s, stockbroker world or whatever the case. So
well, I think that mindset too, right, of the LO, right? They create objections in their head. And if you're going in to your day and you already have objections of why you can't do this, why you can't do that, you're done. Probably shouldn't even get on the phone that day. Right. So, as a loan officer, you're handling objections and you're doing rebuttals with the homeowners. But if you're walking into the day and you already have objections in your mind and you're assuming these objections are going to happen without even, identifying, what the benefit is, right? You're done. Unless you're in 2022 where people had a 5 and 6 and you're bringing them down to a 3. Duh. I mean, that's probably as easy as it gets.
but that's not advising.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
nothing.
order
That's,
taking. You
yeah.
can do that
Not,
because you're literally providing there's no knowledge that people don't know. I know 2 is less than 5, so that's an easy decision. But what people don't know is maybe the leverage when they're paying off debts and how they're doing time management, and how they're accelerating payments and why this actually makes sense and that it's not a forever thing, usually that you're gonna redo it or restructure it one way or the other.
yeah.
I
I
wanted to
mean,
get into the next one. Sorry, to kinda skip ahead here, but
no, yeah, well, I was gonna get rip right into that, right?
yeah, I wanna get
So
like
there's a mindset, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like I kind of think we would over mindset, but tactics that like separate average loan officers from closers, right? What
Oh yeah. There's a lot of tactics. I think what separates, the normal LO versus the high performer is the tactics. To me, tactics is their process, right?
the speed to lead is important. Like the way
Yes.
people, I think in this day and age, I don't know if it's our society, our age demographics, or whatever it is, but I hear a lot of "I'll do it later," "I'll do it tomorrow," and guys and gals, if you're in sales, there is no tomorrow or to the next day or the day after that. Typically, if you've been in a sales on a sales force that has kind of gone over those numbers, we know there's proven studies of how much of a loss of opportunity you have over time, right? There's studies on that, like literally missing a call, 300 and whatever percent
Yeah.
chance that you won't get them back. So speed elite is huge. I feel like if you get something and it's hot and knowing how to prioritize what's hot and what's not, by the way, is another one. But you need to be on there is no tomorrow. Every day in sales, every day you start from ground zero and you're only as successful as how you end that day. Right. So I think
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
huge and people don't do that. Stop procrastinating, guys.
yeah.
Stop putting it off for I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll check in after the week. If there's something that makes sense now, don't wait. And make sure your clients know not to wait because every day might cost them more money and interest in stress and whatever it is that the problem is.
Yeah. I mean, also, speed to lead, but it's speed to contact, it's speed to response, right? Once you even get them in, even if they're incubating and trying to get a deal, if your speed of response is lacking, they're just one click away to follow up with another LO that they were talking to, right? Or they're looking at their mortgage statement and it has a picture of either the LO that last did their transaction or a new representative there, right? So, speed is everything. But again, if you're running with speed, you better make sure, you got everything set up because, you don't want to, get in a car accident if you're speeding. And what I mean by a car accident is, you do all this legwork and then, your speed and, your efficiency and more or less your customer service or experience drops, you just wasted all your time. And I see that all the time too. Hey, we got the deal, everything. And then boom, all of a sudden they're just a number and you're not making contact. And then, oh yeah, we got a request to transfer your FHA case number, right? No one
I
thinks
got a
about
note.
that.
I got a note here how important scripts and framework and how winging it never scales as well. But I actually want to jump to the bottom one because I see that it's affecting us from experience as well. Is managing pipelines. Again, I'm going to go back. And if you're not really vested and really care about it and you treat it like a job, you probably don't do this. But pros manage pipelines. They know where the loan stands. They check in with their clients. They are the supervisor, the foreman of that process of that person's loan. Who gets blamed if something goes wrong? You do. So get in front of it. They'll say, I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard from anybody in 2 weeks. And you'll blame somebody else. And I'm telling you this, not you specifically out there, but I see it all the time. Why didn't this person call? Or why didn't that person call? Why didn't you call? You should know where your loan is at every time. One of the red flags to me is when and I know Alex, you know this too, but when I know more about the loan than you know about the loan, that's a problem. Do you think pros who are working and they're getting a commission and doing a service and helping people are going to just ignore it?
Yeah.
That's part of their system. They know where the loan stands. And if they don't know, they're going to get answers and they're going to check in. And I'm not saying you have to baby it the whole way through. You do delegate and you work as a team with whatever company you're at, or you should, I should say. But you are ultimately in control. Look at it. Not it's you know, guess unless you're at a company where you get paid for taking an application, most people are not going to get paid until they actually help a homeowner save money by closing a loan. And if you don't care about
Yep.
that, then you really don't have the passion that you should have for this business. So I don't know. That one struck me more, Alex. I just want to touch on that because I see so many people like not know where it's at. And it's always, it hurts me when I've said that line, as have you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I know
Line
more about
manager is
your loan
huge.
than you
Yeah.
know, more than I'd like to admit. So
And another yeah, I mean, I look at things and we have all these notes, but when I sit there and look at the notes, I'm like, this isn't even relevant to the transaction. Let's be relevant with ourselves and how we process things as well. It's like, unless you got, 50 loans in your pipe, you probably don't really have an excuse, especially when you have a processing group backing you to help manage your pipeline, right? A lot of people just sit on their hands and just go, oh, yeah, someone will do it. I mean, you got to take ownership. And especially, here at Direct My Loan, I mean, we pay very high comp because our expectation is white glove service, customer experience from the front to the back. So without a customer, we're nothing. And that really comes down to, everything that we're talking about. You got to make the homeowner feel relevant, that you actually care, that you are actually a true partner, just not a voice on the other side, right? It goes further than that.
and
And
you
remember,
actually care too, and
yeah,
express that feeling,
and
right?
think about it, right? It's like, a lot of folks out there, you know, that own homes. There's a lot of memories, good and bad, right? And then there's a lot of good and bad memories when they're renting. But, the whole idea with the American dream is to have those memories with your family in your home. And I think we forget about that as loan officers. I think it's deep. And the other one I hear all the time, oh, this homeowner's dumb. Actually, they're not dumb. They own a home. 60% of those LOs out there right now don't even own a home. So why do you even go there, right? I wish I could just hire people that own homes, but I know that's not the reality. Because a lot of the new LOs, they're aspiring to have their own home, and this is their ticket to get there. So that's
I love the
something
fact
that
that like I like what you just said because there are a lot of people that aren't there yet. But again, that kind of goes back to the type of person that you're talking to, or that you are, I should say, if you're the loan officer. Because, like I said, I've known people in this business over 20 years that I wouldn't trust them with, paying my
yeah, less
the
than a
people that
handful.
are brand new, but they have something. They got drive, they got ambition. They're learning, they're going places, and they might not have a home, but they'll probably have a home before the guy that's been doing it 20 years, who might have been more of that shisty, never changed, never adapted, never accountable, right? Because being a top loan officer, you have an accountability where you run your metrics, you know where you stand, you know what you do, you know where your weak spots are, right? Like I've seen
Right.
people that pride themselves like I close 95% of the deals, but you only get one or two deals. So what does that really tell you? And I know for me, I like to move forward. I don't close at a 70% maybe. If I'm talking to a consumer and I'm getting their loan in and submitting it, I'm not lying about it either. I'm saying, let's get this moving forward so we can see what happens. Let's find out what that value is. Let's find out if we get this approval. I'm still going to lose 3 out of 10 of them, but I know that. And that's built into how I operate on a daily basis of what those metrics are. So knowing those numbers, being accountable for yourself and using the systems you have, you know, for us, what we're really building is a system, but everybody should have their own system of what they do, right? Like you have a system. You wake up and you take your shower, you brush your teeth, you eat your breakfast, you have your coffee. That's a system, guys, or a routine or whatever you want to call it. You should have that in your work life, or your life of what I do.
And
You
you
making it.
point.
Good
Mhm.
luck.
Yeah, I mean, you point something out, right? That whole word accountability, that could go sound really cheap, right? Because people just will say it, right? Say cliche accountability, right? You gotta look in yourself in the mirror and like, what are your expectations for yourself that you define the true meaning of accountability? Some people claim, "Oh, I'm being accountable, but I'm doing it half-ass." To me, that's not being accountable. Do it from start to finish 100%, right? You see so many people that, "Oh, yeah, I'm accountable." No, dude, you're not accountable because you're not you're just doing the bare minimum, right? So if your gauge is to run, at like 5 RPMs all the time and claim it that you're being accountable, ask yourself, are you really being accountable? Nah,
No.
we don't sit in neutral, and
We
that's
we we all know
another
we all know the reality of what's going on and how we really are. As humans, I think we try to cover it up with an excuse or some kind of reasoning behind it, but when you did something wrong. You know when you're not at the level you should be at. You know when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Um, we all do. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it if they actually stop and smell the roses and think about it. And again, I can tell you again, the people that are going to have excuses are going to be the ones, and like I said earlier, this isn't a feel good podcast. This is a why you're not going to be successful. Are the ones that are not doing any of these things. And if you're not doing these and you don't have a reason to grow for anything you do in life, you need to change it and do something different. If you want to be different, you have to do different. And if you're not doing different, then you're never going to change, right? So I think this is huge. I think there's some amazing loan officers and professionals out there. And, hopefully they're all set in a good position with how their system works or their structure works or their company works or whatever the case is. There's some really, really good people that help a lot of people. And if you're a homeowner and you have a loan officer you worked with for years, then you probably feel that because you trust them and you respect them and you respect their decision. But if you're not there and you're struggling and you're having issues, converting or helping people, then hopefully some of these pointers will make you, again, stare at that mirror, reflect in the mirror yourself and find out, am I this person? Am I doing what I want to do? What do I need to change? What is my system going to be for success? Because that's what everybody has: consistency, systems, coaching. Yeah, we didn't touch on that one too, but I highly praise people who continuously educate themselves, even when they're not closing. It's like you're always learning, like ABL, always be learning. I don't know, is that something out there? Like whether you're watching sales YouTube videos or techniques or strategies or reading, writing, whatever it is, if you want to be good at anything you do, you continue to learn off the clock. You continue to learn outside of normal day to day so you could be better during the day to day. You don't play sports and practice during the the playoffs. You go to
Yeah.
practice beforehand so you could be ready for game time and keep growing and growing and growing. And then when that season's over, aka that day's over, you take a break and you get back to practice for the next season, aka tomorrow. Yeah, thanks for chatting, by the way. Sorry I talk too much. I get really excited about this types of conversations, and I can't say it on the floor to the team as much, but I can say it on here, which is we could be more aggressive and we could talk about why normal LOs will keep struggling and top LOs who fund 10 plus loans a month will change their lives and their pay and everything else about what they're going on. But apologies if I overtalk too much. Like I said, I get super excited. I get a fire burning in me when we talk about this because I see so much opportunity in people. And I've spent lots of time, energy, and money trying to get people to see the opportunity in themselves as well. And if they don't want it, I can't make them have it or get it, right? Neither can you or anybody else for that matter. We all know that, but it hurts me. That's why I got a fire burning inside to hopefully inspire or get somebody else, get somebody who maybe is struggling to really take a deep look and see, is this what I really want? And what do I need to get to this to do? What do I have to do to get to the spot that I want to be at? Because there's so much people with opportunity out there. If they just tweak a couple little things, they can become really good at not a job, a career, a life changing career. For many people, I should say, maybe not most, but for many people, it definitely is a life changing career that keeps going and going and going. And like we always say, people ask like, "What's the income? What's this?" Well, there is no limit. The limit is whatever system that you can do that you can scale on a personal or a company side, right? So um, if you're out there, if your loan officers are out there who are listening who don't have the right leadership or don't have the right company where this actually strikes and reach out, we would talk to you. If you're at a great company, stay there. Keep doing what you're doing. Just make sure that you're always moving forward and you're always growing. Because if you're not growing and continuously learning, the world will pass you by quicker than you know, especially with AI, especially with tech, especially with just the normal patterns of changes in this industry, right? Um, so yeah, keep an eye on that. Like I said, reach out if there's questions. Send us a link down below. Hit us up. I don't know. I don't know if there's gonna be 5 people that see this or 6. I just joking. 500. I don't know, but or probably something we could even use in our training in our class if it makes sense and it comes out clear. But we want to help as many people as possible from the consumer standpoint, but also from the sales standpoint to become better and to have more skills to take their careers to the next level. Alex, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I said, I'm stoked that we're doing this. I'm stoked that we're growing this. I'm stoked to have a top sales, top operations uh, build that we're doing right now, and that's going to keep getting bigger and better. And like I said, we're going to keep doing these more. Everybody out there, if you're watching this and this was something important, share it, send it to somebody else. We are going to do more of these and let us know if you even made it this far to the end of this video and it was useful, let us know what we could have cut out or what you'd like to hear because our only goal is to make sure that we're giving good information that hopefully impacts people's lives. And with that said, get back on with the day. If this did impact you, made you think differently, then shut it off now and get back to work. Go help somebody save money. That's it for today. Peace.